Okay. Welcome everybody to the Greater St. Louis Middle School meeting. It's good to be back. I've been away for traveling and a wedding, so I want to thank Carol Reagan for filling in at 2 months and for Mary for filling in the November meeting since I was out busy traveling. I want to say happy Hanukkah and well, happy holidays. God bless you. The meeting is being recorded, so after about a week or so, go on our YouTube channel and you can watch the program. If you aren't attending, welcome on the website. Let's see, I want to share 2 funny little quotes that I found, nothing exciting. You haven't truly multitasked until you've counted stitches and carried on a conversation at the same time. And don't count on your friend's counter. I mentioned numbers. Another one that I found, it said, I said to myself, I need to do something besides knit today. Then I laughed and laughed. So, I don't have any member news. I don't know if anyone has anything or if there's any birthdays going on. December birthdays. Mary Cathal, sorry. Pathel. I always say it wrong. Mary Pathel. Happy birthday. I'm also happy to announce that we have a slate of officers for our next year. So I'm not discouraging the people that are running, but if anyone else wants to run, we can't have an actual election and vote against people. So, like I said, not that I'm trying to discourage anybody.
They're already there.
That's what I thought. But Mary Dale is running for president. Carol is staying on, running for administrative VP. Education, John Colley stepped up to run for that. Pam is going to run for treasurer. Susan, communications. Sarah, community service. And Alice is going to stay on as secretary. So thank you very much for making that happen. I guess Mary was the one who got on everybody there. I got an email request for, and I know it's always late in the year. Somebody's looking for someone to make a Christmas stocking for them. So Karen's fully booked. That's what I think, yeah. I see Karen and thought, well, I'm sure she's, and I don't think Meg, who's hiding back there, is interested in this. So if anyone has nothing to do, I will contact her and say, kind of late, maybe next year. So that's the only thing I had for that. I want to share this. I could say it anytime. We collect hats, and we get hats for everyone. You never know where they come from. This one came in last year, and I thought, oh, this is a cute little hat. Until I realized it's not a hat; it's a tea cozy. So, if anybody needs a tea cozy, I can be here. You want a tea cozy?
I do, actually.
There you go. There's your attendance prize.
It could be a hat for a bunny rabbit.
Well, I was going to say maybe they could adapt it, but I thought it's a pretty little thing. Somebody probably thought it was a hat. And that's right. Oh, let's see, knit-in updates. The only one that I know that we're going to be, that isn't going to be held anymore, the first Wednesday, Thornhill Knit-In that meets at 6:30. Kathy Schoenlau usually hosts. That one is going to stop. The library's changing their hours. They're not going to be open as long. They're going to close at 8 o'clock, all the St. Louis County. So it makes it kind of inconvenient if your group's only going to meet for an hour. So it's not worth getting together. So that knit-in is going to be
As of now.
As of now. So won't be there next week. So don't go to Thornhill Wednesday. You'll be home. Ravelry bundles. I talk about bundles all the time. I don't know how many of you go out there, but we had created a bundle of all the show and share items monthly. So it got to be 66 bundles out there, which kind of made it useless. So Candy Grassdorf, who was a member for a long time and a president several times, she's not a member now, but she took it upon herself to ask me if, I shouldn't say that, but that doesn't sound right. She spent an awful lot of hours fixing it for me and got it down to where there's a bundle for each year. But then there's also bundles for, let's see, Kivo hats, headbands, last minute Christmas gifts, one skein special patterns. And any of those, if somebody has a pattern they want to add to the bundle, you can add a pattern that you find. And if you want to have any information on how to mess with the bundle, just let me know. If you go to the main Guild Ravelry, our main group, over to the right, you'll see it says bundles. And the three of the featured ones will show up, and I think it's the chemo and the whatever the ones that are not by year. And if you click underneath that, then you'll see by year. And that way, if you see something in an old newsletter where you see a picture, it's like, oh, I really like that. That was in 2016. Then you go to that and find the pattern without trying to figure out what is it. If you don't always have the name. Well, I guess most of the names are in the newsletter. But anyway, I want to thank Candy for doing all the work that she did on that. It was a labor of love, I think, on her. She's always been helpful with the Ravelry account. She set it up back when she was a member, and so I appreciate her help with keeping up with our Ravelry account. I don't have any other announcements. I don't know if anybody else has any announcements. If not, we'll go on to our regular business portion of the meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes from the November 11th meeting that was in the December newsletter? If not, do I have a motion to accept those? Mary accepts those. Second. Who was that? Kathy Schoenlau, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. If not, you get to do it. Okay. Treasurer's report. Are there any questions on the October Treasurer's report that was in the December newsletter? If not, we will submit that for audit. Okay, we're going to go on to reports. I don't think Carol Reagan is here today for administrative. I don't think there's anything to report. The dates of the next luncheons are in the newsletter. We're doing our potluck the second Saturday of June. We're doing our luncheon the second Saturday of October, and those, information on those events will come up. One thing that I know that she probably could use help on, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but with the raffle, sometimes by the time we ask for raffle prizes in the second half of the year, some of the organizations or companies have already distributed all that they can for the year. So if anybody wants to be on a raffle prize committee and help Carol, contact her, and that way you can, find out who to reach out to get raffle prizes. So you can speak with Carol, or reach out to her if you have any ideas to deal with that. Okay, next report is communications. Mary?
Don't worry, you can keep it on. I have very little, but somebody on Facebook said they knew where they could take these. These are those things that when you have the mask that goes over your ears, you can put it around behind so that your ears don't get sore from having the mask on. Somebody on Facebook told me they could take them, and I can't remember who. But if that person isn't here and everybody is looking blankly at me. So if you know a place that you can take these to, a doctor's office, hospital, wherever, please come get them, because they were in for the prison ministry. I often get donations of yarn where I get everything out of Grandma's closet, and this was one of the items. And I'd really love this Grandma's work to be able to be used. So if you know a place that can be used, please come get them. If not, I'll just keep bringing them back till somebody will. That's all I have. Who's
Okay.
next?
Pam, do you want to speak for community service? And then she has a guest speaker too after that. So Paula, if you want to get your things together. It's like already?
This, there's a project afoot, knitting these T-top sweaters. And this,
We can't hear you.
is it now? Okay, all right. There's a project afoot to knit these T-top sweaters. And this lady is going to tell you about that. Meanwhile, the only thing I have really to say, I found this little, it's a tip to make sure that things don't slip off your needles. It's purple, and somebody lost it last month. So I want to get rid of it since it's been riding on my tag for a month. Okay, so here's, oh. Okay, thank you. I have the pattern that she's going to talk about right back here.
You need to talk louder, Brenda.
Okay.
Try to put it on.
Okay, can people hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good, I'm so glad. So, Nancy Ellis is here with us. She's, Nancy, wave your hand. Okay, so Nancy came into Seven Sisters in June, and she had a project because she wants to help people less advantaged. So she has been knitting, learning, and getting better at knitting these little T-top sweaters. She has a goal of 135 sweaters because that's how many her mother made and sent them off to guideposts. So those, a few of us at Seven Sisters have decided to help her, and we were featured on with media stars in the Kirkwood Webster Times last week. So that's created a lot more interest in these sweaters and guideposts and what we're doing. So they're just simple little sweaters. It's a front and a back. And can everybody see them? You know, I always sit there and I'm always in the back and I think, hold that up higher. So anyway, so the pattern's readily available on the Knit for Kids website. Knit for Kids is a branch of World Vision. These sweaters, the projects were originally under Guidepost magazine, and it was merged with Knit for Kids, with Guideposts. Guidepost merged with World Vision, sorry, yeah. So in 2009. So they have given sweater, they make, I'm sorry, I'm not used to speaking to people, in front of people. So they asked for blankets, hats, sweaters, and mittens, and they have distributed over 500,000 items to children through this organization. 40% stays here in the States, and the rest of it goes to Zambia, Malawi, Somalia, and Armenia. This is something a child gets to have something new that didn't belong to other people. I think a lot of us can understand that. Debbie McComber is the spokesperson for this organization, so there's a lot of nice information on their website about the project and the organization in general. So we've got about 14 or 15 sweaters done through our group, and we're planning to collect them and send them on to the Knit for Kids or collection site in Pennsylvania. So with the newspaper article, a lot of people have been interested in helping with the goal of 135 sweaters. And Nancy's mother is up in heaven watching over us. She can probably count every stitch. Yes, ma'am? Yeah, Kate.
What about the reporter?
And the reporter that came in, her name is Sarah Wessel, she came in to see us and write the article and interview us. And she bought yarn and needles, and she's going to learn how to knit. So we converted her. So, yes, ma'am?
Yes.
We don't have like a timetable set, because there was just a few of us doing it. So I think we'll probably send them in small batches, maybe 20 and 20 and 20. I don't see that's feasible to send all of them at once because there's so many. So anyway, this is just a goal set because that's how many Nancy's mom did. So there's a knitting organization in Pennsylvania in the town where they collect these things. And it did not say how long they've been doing these sweaters, but they've done 1,000. So and I think a little while. But anyway, they'll always take them. So we're just kind of getting off the ground with getting people outside of our small group to help us, if you all would wish to. So, I'm assuming if somebody gets it done, feed it back to me and Nancy at Seven Sisters, and we'll put it in the pile, in the box to go. So, is there any more questions?
I was just gonna ask how many skeins did you take to make that?
This pattern has, let's see, 5 sizes, so it depends on what size you pick. This was about 3 skeins of Barocco vintage, so, right at 3 skeins.
And it tells you the yardage for worsted weight.
Yeah, the pattern's pretty complete. So, the pattern's written to be a front and a back and seamed together, and some of us have been able to engineer, making it in the round. So.
Are they asking for just acrylic?
Yeah, they were looking for washable. The usual, what you'd make for a child.
I wondered because overseas a lot of times they ask for just wool.
On the website, acrylic or wool.
Yeah.
It doesn't really specify washable, because sometimes there's no water to wash. They also say something about colors, nothing real light color. That's, because it shows dirt quick.
So they asked for sweaters. Did I say sweaters, blankets, hats, and mittens? And there's patterns on their website. They're very simple patterns for people. You don't have to be a highly skilled knitter like you all are. But, something so somebody can get through. The website's great, so yes, ma'am.
Can we turn on into the gallery or do we?
Yeah.
No.
We'll get it down there to Seven Sisters.
Okay.
Because there's usually people like you are here, you can turn it in here and we'll hold on to it like we did the blankets.
Okay. Okay, I guess I'm done.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you. Oh, here. Oh, thanks.
The printed 2-page pattern is back here on this table. So it's kind of hard to find if you go through Ravelry.
Yeah, I'll put a thread on our group so that you can see the article that was in the paper and a link to the pattern. Because Ravelry used to be called the guidepost sweater. It's also called basic tee or 10th anniversary sweater, but those links don't work anymore. So classic tee, classic. So I'll put a link on the thread, so you can do that. I think education is next.
Hello.
Hello.
So today our program is going to be on 2024 fiber events. So we'll have a lot of information about local, state, national trips, all kinds of stuff. Next month we're going to do a program on toys. So if you've made any toys that you still have and haven't given away, please bring them in. We'd love to see them. I'll put something. I have a lot of toys. I like bringing toys, so I have a lot that I've given to my husband and my son. So I'll have them take them out and I'll bring them in and tell you the good, the bad, the ugly about making the ones that I have. And in February, we're going to continue TKGA conversation. I think John and Eileen, right in February, you guys are going to talk a little more about the Master Knitter program for the TKGA, so that'll be February. Don't have anything for March yet.
Part of that chair.
Don't have anything for March yet. If you have any ideas, let me know. I know we'll have elections in March, but we'll have to come up with something. Any questions on the upcoming programs? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tony, I think you're up now.
I've got so many prizes, I have to bring my car. We like lots of prizes. Oh, I know, holiday season, right? Okay, I don't need the microphone, do I? No. I work there and say, I can hear you everywhere. It's a good thing and a bad thing. Hello, everybody. I have a little story about my dentist. My dentist is 82 years old. I've only been going there for 58 years.
Oh my.
So, my hygienist was having a baby, so I said, I'm gonna bring her a baby blanket. And it was one of those tonals where it's blue and gray and green. So I gave it to her, she runs over to thank me, I'm in the dentist chair. And my dentist goes, well, that's lovely variegated yarn. I almost fell out of the chair. He goes, my mom used to make doilies, and my sister and I saw her making doilies, and said, we'll make doilies too. Now people, you know, the kind of thing where you put your ashtray in it. So, that's my funny dentist story. Even the most surprising people will know about yarn. Okay, today we have 48 members. Yay, nice crowd for a holiday. Okay, let's see where we go here. This will be for Dora Sally, okay. She's a new member.
Apparently that wasn't
That was part of the prize.
Yes.
Melba Holly. She gets a little gift bag. Thank you very much. You're welcome. And let's see. Nancy Ellers. She gets the holiday cash.
Guild. The guild.
The gold doubloons. Okay. Rose Park. Just two more. Kate Sander.
Oh, I've already won this year.
Oh, we'll pick a number.
6.
Number 6. Joanne Aqua. All right. And Adrian Behar. Adrian? Bamer?
Oh, yeah, I already won this year.
Oh, okay, you pick a number.
33.
Okay, that's a good number. Let's see who it is. It's me. No. Lynn Phillips. Okay, Lynn, you get the giant bag of, oh my goodness, pink cotton. I mean, it's probably enough for 2 sweaters.
Holy cow. I'll be busy.
Unfortunately, it's the wrong kind of yarn for the tea sweater. Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody, and happy holidays.
No.
Okay, it's time for show and share, so if anybody has something they'd like to show before they give it away for a holiday present, come on up. Leah's in the back, so I think she's back there. Oh, Leah's over here. She's going to take pictures of anything that you show so that we can put it in the newsletter. I guess while everybody's moving this way, I'll show off my cowl that I made. This is it's called Lots of Lotus. And it was a real easy pattern. You can't really tell the detail from back there. It's I made this Lots of Lotus cowl with Madeline DK. I thought it was a real pretty color, and you really can't see the design on it, but it's pretty. I like it. So Thank you. Okay, so that's mine. And if you have a sheet that you, the information with the name of the show and share, there's a there's a paper over the table.
So, yeah, let's see, last month, I won this ball of yarn. So,
I don't know what 100
isn't this cute? So I found the pattern on Ravelry because it said it uses long color changes, and it's called Vertigo. So if anybody is interested, and the hat is knit, it's not knit around, it's knit back and forth, and then you have one seam. So it's, and so that you can make it whatever size you need it to be, you know, so it really was it, anyway. I was real pleased with the way it turned out.
Whole story. The sweater is called a feather knitted shawl. There's these two young women, they're like in their early 20s, they're Danish designers, and this is one of their patterns. I would probably not recommend the pattern. It had a couple of mistakes in it. Once you got knitted in the round, it was fine, but it goes back and forth for quite a while because there's a different pattern on the shoulders. So, but it turns out great, but it's kind of a tough little pattern to get into at the beginning. So this next one has a long story, but I'm going to keep it really short. So I was in a knitting fun, and my son and daughter-in-law were trying to have a baby, and so I started this baby blanket and got it done and laid it out to do the blocking, and there was a mistake in the lace. And so this sweater, you knit each panel, you knit the middle panel, and then you knit the sides, and the sides all connect. So I didn't know where this mistake was. Luckily, it was on the fourth side, so I only had to pull out a little bit. So I re-knit it, got it all done. This is... So I got it done. They came to the house, and they said, "We're pregnant." And I said, "Oh, that's so exciting." So all I had to do was, a little bit block it. A week later, they went to the ultrasound, and they're having twins. Like when you're making it. A long way to go, and I'm panicking. Anyway. Thank you. I have till March. You can do it. I can do it.
Hi. This pattern is called Shoulder Season. When I was at the Midwest Fiber Festival, I saw this on a mannequin because frankly, if I'd have seen it on Ravelry in a pattern, I'd have passed it right up. Because for whatever reason, the picture was not flattering at all. It calls for, the pattern's written for 5-inch positive ease, which I don't like. And so I started making it in one size and realized it was too big, ripped it out and made it in a smaller size. But I like the way it turned out. The yarn is from Leading Men Fiber. It's the Showstopper yarn, and it's the color is white pine.
Turn around.
So the back is just gartered. But what I like is that it seams this way, So instead of just the side seam, you get the optical illusion of a smaller waist. always a good thing.
I think I left my show and share paper back there. But this is called what's it called? Split neck collar block cowl, and it's by Church Mouse. She's the one on Bainbridge Island in Washington State. And I have to put this on both ways to show you because it's so much cuter on than you can wear it with this color out. Or you can switch it around and wear it so the other color is the more noticeable color. So I really like this pattern. I was like, oh my gosh. And all it is ribbing, and then it's like flat ribbing, and then you put it in the round, and then you do flat ribbing on, but the other side, the opposite side is split. Is split flat, so very cute though. So it's fun. It's called a split neck color.
It'll be up there. It's the double.
Double split. That's right, double split.
Over the smaller one first, this is the muscle board hat. This is done in a child size or small adult. It was from my cousin's great-grandson.
So you start at the top.
Yeah, you start at the top, see it's
Oh.
perfectly interchangeable. So I made a design on one side, and a different design just to make it interesting. So it wouldn't be dull, boring. I bought the blue yarn at Yarn Com, and I had the white yarn from the Myers house. This is a washable wool, the blue's a washable wool. And the white's from Brunswick, it's a baby wash and wear. So here's the other side. I had the old hat box down in the basement for years. Now they put it into a good use. I'm a hat lady and I love hats. I always want
That's really cute.
This is a pattern. It's designed by Bev Alcass. I got it at the Myers house, the pattern and the yarn. Got it at the Myers house because it had to be 100% wool, of course, in order to felt.
How hard was it to shape it as you felted it?
Well, it shapes itself. It's remarkable. You get this whoppy thing and you've got it knit loose so it felt properly. So it's real big. It's a bigger size needle. And I put it in a pillowcase. And from what I remember right, you got to use the hot water. And I used a mild, I don't know what soap I use. I probably use Dawn. Nancy always recommends Dawn for washing wool garments. So you keep it in there for 2
Did you shape it over a bowl or anything?
Yeah, I put a little bowl, and for a while it was drying, I threw it over a bowl.
Okay.
But when it comes out, I take it out of the pillowcase and it's all wet, of course. And I put it in the cycle twice for like 2 to 3 minutes tops. You gotta be down there by the machine or it can get too small. So the thing is not to let the water run out. So you gotta put it in there for the next cycle. But it's a short cycle.
Lovely.
It's very nice.
And I made an orange one. It's smaller. The yarn was bought at the Myers house.
What's the pattern name for that?
The pattern name. Fiber Trends. It's Fiber Trends felt hat number 2. The designer was Bev Calvertas. Plenty of of their patterns for both children and adults.
What kind of wool did you use?
I like, it was Callaway, worsted, 100% wool.
That felt good.
Yeah, it did feel nice.
Good.
It was nice and soft.
Make sure Lee gets a picture of your hats if you didn't already. Those are pretty.
Those are awesome.
Well, we're gonna take about a 10-minute break and then we will do the program, so 1/4 till. So, see if there's any yarn you need in the back, look at the lovely items that are knitted in the back. Oh,
Can I just make a little announcement?
yeah,
I have membership cards for Marcia Bray, Diane Wolf, Diana Thompson, and Mary Gail Banks.
What did you like about it?
There was a lot of yarn.
Lots of yarn.
Lots
How many
of yarn.
took classes? Anybody take a class, learn something new?
Oh, God.
That's what festivals are all about. They're all around the United States. And I just found a site that says they're international too. So you can find them all over the place. That's what we're going to talk about today. There are several that are right here in Missouri. I think the Eureka Fiber Festival is here. The Midwest Fiber Festival, Ozark Fiber Festival. Fiber U is in Lebanon. They have 49 different classes, and I believe it's a one-day event.
Is it living in Missouri or living in?
Lebanon, Missouri. And the Ozark Fiber Fling. Some of them are big, some of them are small. The Ozark Fiber Fling has a room about twice this size that has the eating area and the vendors. And then there's room for about 10 classes at a time. They do anything from basket weaving to double knitting. So it's fun. It's in Stillville, Missouri. You can actually leave here, take a class, and come home, all in one day. And the meals that are served from people who are supporting a food bank. So when you're buying the good food at a good price, you're supporting something else as well. That's the Ozark Fiber Festival. That's the one I've been in here. I have not gone to the Fiber U. I thought it was just a little thing in a church, so I didn't know what I was thinking about. So we have to get more of that. Let's go ahead and look at the list. Start with the first one. Vogue knitting. Anybody been to Vogue knitting?
What was the hand back there?
Yep. What do you think about it?
I went to use the Rolling Williams in Chicago, and I really enjoyed it. They have presentations, and of course, there are people that are selling yarn, but I haven't been probably 10 years.
I went to Stitches, which no longer exists.
Right.
And it was the same thing. I mean, they had 3-4 days of classes, and the vendors, my feet got sore just trying to get around them. You had to take a break. There were so many of them. So I'm sure Vogue knitting is the same. I thought there were more than one. I thought I've seen different ones, so it might be worth looking into those if you wanted something different.
Yep, there is. This one's, there's New
New
York,
York.
Santa Fe.
Yeah, they
sold out
regional,
apparently.
yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like there's two at least, so.
That's the website. This list will be put on the website.
Yep.
So that you can go through and look at some of these as well. The travel to Scotland. Anybody interested in Scotland?
5 years.
If you go to Scotland, north of that is the Shetland Isles. Those are real fun. You cannot go there and just go there. You have to stay in Scotland and take a ferry over to the Isles, and you cannot stay because there's nobody there to give you room to stay. So you go back and forth. They do have Shetland Week
in September. Yeah, that's the 29th through the October 5th this year. And there are different people who do take tours over there. Can't come up with her name. Patty Lyons is doing one in early September. And there's another, Amy Deachin is going to do one for the Wool Week in Scotland. So you could look for her, you could follow her online and find information on that. So,
The Albanite Knitter also will be there.
which one?
The Albanite Knitter.
Is that a tour?
No, he's a gentleman that does a vlog from the Isles.
Okay, that would be where you could get more information on that. Shetland lace is something that I'm trying to get to. One of the problems is most of them are done with a cobweb yarn, which is not easy to find. And I'm a little nervous about knitting with it too because it's a single ply and not spun very tight. So it has a tendency to fray apart. But I'd love to go see some of the originals. They have museums in Shetland that you can see some of the originals. All right.
We missed this one, Eureka Fiber, is that, so this one, Fiber in the Ozarks is March 15th and 16th. My favorite part, the vendor market. I love the vendor market, so.
Where is that one actually?
This one is in, where is it?
I think there's a Eureka everywhere.
I know, it's local, but I can't find the freaking schedule. Eureka Springs Community Center.
In the Ozarks, yeah.
Arkansas? Okay. Fiber in the Ozarks, so yeah.
It's almost Missouri.
Almost. Close-ish, right? Do
The
you want to go?
Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival is supposed to be a large one. I have gone to the Michigan Fiber Festival, which is in October, or August. And this is probably going to be bigger than that. And I'm hoping my daughter invites me to stay at her place so I can travel in 45 minutes to it someday. So those are some big ones. Now, a lot of these, if you look them up on Facebook, you will find that they have their own Facebook group so that you can look at what they're doing. They will show you some of the teachers, they will preview some of the vendors and things like that on Facebook. Next page goes into something totally different. Cruises. Anybody
Meg,
here
did
been
you
on
put
a
the
cruise?
headphones on? Did you put the microphone on?
Okay,
Thank you.
which way?
Headband.
You know what people said about talking and counting? Carol and I were on a cruise and we were all sitting, getting ready to get on the ship. And everybody's knitting and talking and several men came over and said, "How can you do that? You're not even looking."
You just put us in the dark and we're all still knitting.
Yeah.
So, I think we have at least one person who's taking a cruise. Kathy?
Yeah. You want me up there?
Hmm?
Do you want me
I
up?
think you can just stand there, speak loud.
Speak up. Okay, well, I've been to two of them. One was to Alaska, and I'm not gonna talk about what I saw on Knitting Secrets, kind of generalities. Normally, I went with craft cruises, so everything about the cruise is about crafting, and mostly knitters, but there were some crocheters sneaking on it. Typically, what you do is you get a package of information from Craft Cruises with the agenda, the name of the host knitter, and your homework. So if you're smart about it, you do your homework before you go, then you can enjoy your cruise. You don't have any classes while you have all your classes while you're at sea. So you don't miss the ports and then down the stores. So that's a good thing to know, so you're not gonna miss anything.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
usually the group, because this is designed around crafts, they'll cruise into city that's got yarn shops, okay? So they'll give you a general map of the area, where's the yarn shop, and everybody runs off to the yarn shop. And you can have, most restaurants have internet, so if you don't have internet on the boat, which tends to be expensive, you can stop in a restaurant and call your family if you want to. So that's something to know, the internet on boat is expensive. The rooms are nice, the food is wonderful. Boats, as you know, are very large, so you're always walking somewhere, but I managed to lose 2 pounds. Yeah, so that was a good thing. But most of the food is like a buffet type thing. But there's food everywhere, so you're never gonna, be hungry.
It's know your barista.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what all the cruises are about, anywhere you go. I went to Australia and New Zealand one time, and that was also the same kind of setup, where you can have homework, you do the homework at home. I put my needles and my homework in a plastic bag, and I label what the bag is for, so I know which bag I'm picking up for that particular skill. Most of what they have you do is a swatch of some kind, and then you work off that swatch. But every trainer is different, so you're going to have various classes that might be really challenging. Most of them I would say are middle challenging. They're not for the new knitter, so don't go on a cruise if you don't know how to cook. But, there have been people that believe me. So, I would say a mid-range knitter is probably going to find comfort there. And you make friends. I still speak to some of the people that I met on Facebook. So, but I thought it was very enjoyable. And I would recommend it if you've never been. You can get a single room if you choose to, or you can double up with a companion. So you can share the cost and therefore the expense is less. And usually you fly to a port, and then you take you don't take the boat from San Francisco, for instance. If you're going to go to Alaska, you might go to Seattle and pick up the cruise ship in Seattle, and then you go up into Canada and Alaska that way. Same kind of thing with Australia. You don't take a cruise on Australia. You fly there, and then you cruise around the continent, and then you go to. So you see a lot, but there's plenty of time when you're at sea to have your homework for your classes and everything. So I would say if you got a chance to do it, Craft Cruises is the one I used, and it's all specifically for crafts. So I would say go ahead and do it if you try, or if you decide you want to try.
One question. Some of the cruises I've heard you have to take a second suitcase for your yarn to come
Well,
out.
that's okay. I didn't take any clothes, so. I had no problem.
I understand at least one of them that I've heard about, the people who are in charge of it get together for 3 days beforehand to get the stuff together for each person, the bag of goodies that you get.
I don't remember getting a bag of goodies.
Some of them do.
Well, maybe so. I wasn't there. I will say that in Australia, some women bought enough yarn that you had them ship it home. And I can't imagine what they had to cost. That's halfway around the world. So I didn't do that. I tried to find natural fibers that I couldn't get in the States. So I tried to do that. I think I was pretty successful. But, I had a tote bag, if anybody remembers what tote bags are. It's flat and it goes in your suitcase. That was my extra luggage. But they have laundry facilities on these cruises, and they give you a bag about the size of a 2-gallon hefty bag, and you cram as much longer. It costs you $25 for the bag, so you cram as much laundry as you can. And the secret to that is you roll up the laundry. Anyway, you roll up your dirty laundry so you can get as much into that 2-gallon bag, and it's back the next day in your room, ironed, folded, So it's well worth it.
So that's
Well, Carol and I went on a cruise to, in New England, and we stopped at every yarn shop, but we also, Lucy Meekby, had her guild pick us up and take us to the different yarn shops in, what's it called, Sarah? It was Nova Scotia, whatever the town is. And we had 5 people in a VW bus. But we got to all the yarn shops first, and basically there was probably not much left for the other people. But I learned the joy of shipping. It wasn't very much to ship, so I had Christmas for weeks after I came home. It was really cool.
That's squishy mail, right?
Okay, ship it home.
And we had a schooner trip, a little different.
You have the slides
I
for
do.
that?
As soon as I find them. So there.
Okay, well, Gene Wolfe and I went on a schooner trip on Labor Day weekend. And it was something that I'd always thought would be, kind of exciting to do, so she had done it before with another ship, so we decided to sign up for it. Let me find all my notes here. Margaret Radcliffe, or Maggie Radcliffe, she was the one who has been doing this on the J&E Riggins since 2007. So if you're interested, it's always at Labor Day weekend, and they can accommodate up to 24 passengers, and they have 6 crew. So she, if you're not familiar with Maggie, she's written Knitting Answer Book, The Essential Guide to Color Knitting Techniques, and Circular Knitting Workshop, which you can get at the library. And you want to change that? Okay, we sailed around the Penobscot Bay during the day, and then we dropped anchor at night in these harbors. But we started in Rockland, which is there, and we pretty much went, this is not our path, but we pretty much did go those ways. We went over to past Stonington, and we did go up by Acadia National Park. We didn't go into the park, but we just sailed. We didn't do, we only stopped twice at different places. But that's, when they talk about going on Penobscot Bay, you're not in the ocean. It's just in the bay, and you're just sailing where the winds take you. So it's not, unless the weather's bad, it's just pretty calm. Let's see, you can, okay. The tricky way to get there, though, you have to go from Boston to the Rockland Airport, which is actually, I think it's Owl's Head, on this little 8-passenger little plane. So if you're not wanting to fly that, it's like a little over an hour flight. So that was our Cape Air flight that took us to Rockland. And then we took a cab to the hotel where we stayed the one night. Okay, you can click again. Okay, that's the wharf where you sail. There are 4 different, I think there's 4 boats that are there, schooners. They were oyster schooners. And they have the different ones that sail, and they pretty much all sail out on a Monday. They don't, now our trip was 6 days. 6 days and 6 nights. Some of them are 4. But the way it works, I don't know if it's on another slide or not. Okay, so, okay, the size of the boat, you really can't tell in any of the pictures. It's 90 feet long and 23 feet wide. It's not real big, but you can pretty much walk around everything. Several people did do exercising, and they just kind of walked around. But you board on Sunday at 5 o'clock, so you could pretty much come in, drop all your gear off. Our cabin was number 10, where that little yellow bag is. You have to walk down 8 steps backwards into your cabin. Where I'm standing in front of it is one of the 2 bathrooms that has a shower in it. But you can't tell from that, but there's another picture of the bathroom. I'll get to that later. But, yeah, you can flip it. That's our cabin. So you come down the steps, and then that red platform is the bottom of the steps, and then it's a room for 3. So our 3rd person was our luggage. So that was Jean's thing. And right above it, in this other little picture, was a shelf. So you constantly had to not bump your head. And then as you turn around, that's where I slept. And then if you turn around, that's the sink. So you have a cold water sink. If you need hot water, they give you a pitcher so you can go up above and they'll give you hot water so you can wash your hair or have hot water. Otherwise, you're dealing with cold water. They describe the cabins as cozy. Okay, here's your bathrooms, you have to, because that was like, where are the bathrooms? You have to step down 18 inches to get into the bathroom, so if you're height challenged, there are handles, but you pretty much have to step down into it. And one side is a marine toilet, and then the shower is basically, only operational when they're not sailing in the mornings or at night. After the kitchen has used the stove to heat up everything, which heats the water, so then you can take a shower. So anyway, that's the shower curtains, the little blue thing. That's that. Okay, so before we sail, so you get on the boat, dump your stuff off on Sunday night, you go into town and you eat. You come back, you spend the night on the boat, on the schooner, and then the next morning you have breakfast and the pop-up shop, which happened to be in Camden, which is just up the road. They brought in some things, so we shopped. So we still haven't set sail yet until you can go do the next one. Since the boat doesn't have any power itself, it's just the sails, you have a yawl boat, which has an engine. So they push you out to where they can catch the wind. And then, and then you raise the sails. So there's sails in the front, but there's also the main-sail, and you have people on either side of it. So I helped a couple of times. And you each, heave-ho, you've seen them do. So that's how you have to do your, you have to participate. You don't have to, but anyway. That's the galley, and that's the stove that they cook all the meals. They cook everything on a wood stove. And there was the owners are both captains, but the one captain, Jocelyn, is the cook, and she had an assistant too. So the two gals prepared all the meals for breakfast, dinner, dessert, appetizers, lunch, dessert, appetizers, dinner, dessert. So you got lots of food. We never ate in that galley because the weather was good enough. We just ate on top. But it was also very hot because of the stove. And the weather wasn't bad while we were on the trip. You could forget that. I started eating my breakfast and said, I got to take a picture of this. That was the last meal we had there. It was bagels and lox and eggs, and now it had fruit and tomatoes, and everything was fresh fruit. So the food, I couldn't say enough about the food. Homemade pizza, crab pizza, all kinds of stuff. But they had something different every day, and it was all delicious. And if you had any food restrictions, they accommodated that. So it was really, you couldn't ask for anything better with that. Okay, now getting to the knitting part. Maggie had the theme of knitting traditions, and we didn't have to do any homework, and she really didn't tell us what we were doing before we left. But she would spend about an hour and a half every day. When you're out, you're just kind of out in the middle. You're not going into port on this kind of a trip. So she would talk about knitting traditions, and some of the things she talked about were ways to knit: continental, American, Portuguese. She talked about mittens, like thrummed mittens, and the different techniques in Norway and Sweden and Latvia. She talked about stranded sweaters on Wednesday, textured fisherman sweaters on Thursday, and Friday legs, the different Estonia, Shetland, and Latvia. But what was nice is when you got on the boat the first day, she went around to everybody and said, "What do you want to learn? What can I help you with?" She wrote it all down, and she got with everybody during that trip. And if you didn't want anything, that was fine. But there were people that didn't know how to knit. She helped teach them how to knit. People that had trouble with things, and I didn't really have anything I needed to learn, so I had asked her a couple questions, which she helped me out with those. So it was kind of nice that she was available, and people are running around the boat barefoot. I'm sorry, I couldn't do that. It was warm, but it was kind of interesting. But everybody just kind of sat up on the deck wherever you could find a spot. There's 3 freezers on the one side, or a freezer and where they kept all the food, and people would sit over there, or you'd sit on the galley, on the roof of the galley. You can open the slide there. Let's see what else we got here. And this is just people hanging out. If you don't knit, you could read, you could take a nap, you could go swimming if you wanted to. A few people did. I did not. You could take a nap. And then this is one of the places that we spent the night. You can see how calm the waters are. But the day began at 7. We anchored in a peaceful cove by 5. Lights out was at 10. And then one night we stayed out in Stargates. It was kind of cool because we were just laying out on the galley and everything's pretty dark. And you could see the Milky Way and the stars, and you could see the satellites go by. So that was kind of cool. And then this is Stonington, I think. I forgot the name of the town. But we did get to go into that town for about an hour. And this just seems to the, just, you can flip, there's just kind of what, this is the island where we did our lobster bait. And I'm just, lots of lobster traps. It was foggy one day. I took a nap that day and you could hear the foghorn. There wasn't anything to see, so I thought, lots of lighthouses and just, and the tricky thing is when you'd have to go ashore, you'd have to go on the yawl boat, which is only gonna accommodate about 6 people. So that's the boat in the back and this is us riding. You have to negotiate the weight. And then that's the lobsters. So that was another interesting thing. And that's the end of the trip. It's like camping, so if you like camping, it'd be good. And it does get damp, so make sure you bring lots of, Gina will love this, zippy bags, because I put everything I had in zippy bags. I had, one thing I had was my little yellow knitting bag, and I didn't put it away one night, and it felt damp. But by the time in the morning, when you get up in the morning, a lot of things are dewy, and they'll come around and they'll clean all the dew off. So you are really just camping on the water. But it was fun. It was fun. So if there's a shorter trip, if you want to do one, Min Bird is another person who's been doing it consistently. She has a 4-night trip in June, and then the trip we went on was from Sunday to Saturday. And if you want to know more and hear the adventure of how we got home, that's a whole nother part. So, but anyway, I thought I always say I wouldn't encourage or discourage anybody. It's kind of like, I'll tell you what it was like, what the experience was like as far as the Windjammer part, and the classes are always different every time. So I can't say what, and you don't really know until close to the time you're going to do the trip. But Maggie sent us emails and told us a little bit more about what to pack, what to expect. So she was really good with that. So anyway, any questions on?
Would you do it again?
I don't know if I would, because it's a little bit hard to negotiate, with the steps and, it was nice, but, I don't know. I thought about a 4-day trip, but really it's like any place, like if you're going camping, or it's like, oh, I miss home, I don't want to be here, and then by Wednesday it's like, oh, I don't want to go home. This has been fun. So it was fun, but I don't know if I would do it again. The flying part is a little tricky because we had issues. Our flight from Rockport to Boston was canceled. So we ended up taking a cab to Portland, a bus from Portland to Boston, and then we got there about 10 o'clock at night, and then we had to sleep in the airport to get to register, to get logged, whatever, to check in at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then our flight left at 7 in the morning. So it's a little bit tricky with that little Boston, flight to Boston. So that's kind of, but I'm glad I did it. I'm glad, but it's camping, so if you're not a camper or you don't like, roughing it, and if you have any kind of mobility issues, I don't think it would be good, because you do have to come up and down, the steps.
And definitely no balance issues, right?
Probably not, because you're really just kind of sitting on the edge of the boat. There's not a whole lot. You can sit in the middle, but yeah, I don't know.
How fast does the boat go when it catches wind? Like how fast
It
were you
didn't go real fast.
Okay.
I don't know, Jean, do you have any clue on? Yeah, I'm not sure, but it didn't seem like it went real fast.
I didn't see anybody with life vests on. in
No,
your pictures.
they're on there, they're underneath the things, but
Okay.
there's not. But, yeah, it was cool, so.
We took a schooner just north of there, from Bar Harbor. And it was about 25 knots maximum wind, so not really fast, but you're moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now at night, or when they dock, the one night they say, you don't need to bring a fan. We wish we would have had a fan, because it did get stuffy in the cabin that first night. Then the next night it was cold, and we used a blanket that's on the blanket and the quilt. They have enough of that. And if you want to sleep up on top, some people did, they have a canopy that they cover this area so you don't get really dewy. But, yeah. You wake up and you're taking a shower. Jean? Oh yeah, they squeegee the deck, when they come up.
Yeah.
And the poor crew, it's like they work constantly. They just kind of have to catch naps when they can, because when the boat's got to move a certain way, they got to be up there ready to do the tacking and do whatever they have to do. So there were 2 crew, a first mate, second mate, that were constantly up there, and then the captain, and then the other captain, which was the cook, and the other cook, and then there was a media person. So there were six people, and they were They were out there all the time, but, yeah. It was good.
Thank you, Joan.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Joan.
It's more than you wanted to know.
Something else that we have on our list are state festivals. There's Michigan, Wisconsin, Maryland, Maine, no, not Maine. Was there another one? Anyway, these are all festivals usually at a fairgrounds, and they're growing. I've been to the Michigan Fiber Festival twice. Number one, it has no charge to get in, you just walk in. Number two, it has 3 different buildings that people are in, plus between the buildings, there's people outside. The first group I met was the Adventure Yarn Truck, which shows up at YarnCon quite often. And I think it was almost twice as big as it was the time before I was there. There were so many people outside. First time I was there, I didn't get to do much shopping. There was a tornado warning. We spent the time in the bathrooms underneath the bleachers. So that was.
What city is that near?
That's in Allegan, Michigan. This is Michigan. It's down here in this corner, southwest Michigan. It's not hard to find. It's just out of the way. It's not a very big town. Michigan is pretty well known for having yarn companies and sheep and other animals that do fiber. So they have a lot of different places there, but the vendors come from all over. It is a very big draw, and they do have everything: knitting, crochet, tatting, basket weaving. I'm sure that all of these have a number of those different things, and they have classes. Some of them are like 6-hour classes that are all day. So if you need to learn something, that's a place to go, is to one of these that you can get a long time at it. Now, at the Michigan Fiber Festival, if you want to, you can call ahead and have somebody put a RV vehicle that you rent on the fairgrounds, or you can take your own tent and rent a space to put your tent on, right there at the festival. So you're right there handy, and a lot of the vendors enjoy that because then they don't have to travel too far. Plus, it's a little cheaper if you've got something that you can fix your own food. Some of the others. Okay, we're down to the bottom. Any questions on any of these that we've had here?
You say Lake Erie Fiber Festival, where is that?
That's in Camdenton?
We went there. Yeah, we went there just this past October.
Is it worth going to?
It's a nice day trip from here.
Yeah, it's in a gym, so you know your average gym size. There were some really nice vendors. It's not just yarn and knitting, it was all sorts of crafts.
Comparable to the Midwest Fiber Festival here?
No, there was a guy there that had like furniture made out of wood that he had felled, things like that.
Quilters.
Yeah.
Who were selling wares, knitters, crocheters, yarn,
Tie-dye.
All the things that go with yarn, food.
Were there any classes?
Not that I remember, but there might have been. We didn't go for classes.
Yeah.
We very literally went shopping.
That's always a good activity.
We were just there that weekend.
I mean, we happened to be there. We were going that weekend to go hang out for leaves in the fall in the Ozarks, and went, oh, there's a fiber festival we can stop at right near where we're staying.
That's good.
We just happened to do the same thing.
And it was pleasant. It's free. It's not huge, and it's not a far drive if you wanted to make it a day trip.
Yeah, it's free.
Because there's other things to see around there. I mean, there's the bridal caves, the River Buster.
We talked about knitting cruises, and there are river cruises. Most of those are in Europe. And there are quite a few that you can get on, and they'll go down the Rhine, the Danube. And the one with those is, most of the time, you're stopping in a city during the day and you're traveling at night. So sometimes if they're knitters, you may not have classes, but you get to visit a lot of things for knitting.
Can I speak to that one?
Yes.
I did not do a knitting cruise there, but I did do the Danube Christmas River Cruise. And they feed you like they're stuffing you for slaughter. Which disappoints you because then you can't eat on the economy because you're too full. But the cruise is great. It's not a huge ship, but the amenities are fine. Slow moving, so you're not doing the green tinged skin. And but on the whole, I would do one of those river cruises.
I've actually been on cruises that had nothing to do with crafting, but I've always found knitters. And there's usually like a morning group or an evening group that get together someplace, you know, that's not being used at the moment, and they take over a few chairs and gather and knit just like you do at Panera's here or whatever bar, coffee shop you find, you know, we have our little knit-ins, whatever. You can find a knit-in on most of the large cruises, whether it's crafting oriented or not. I always have.
Well, I've gone to Vienna to visit my daughter in the past, and I always would look up where the yarn shops were. Unfortunately, the one time I went to go to the first shop and it was closed. It was August, that's their vacation month. So I had to wait until September to go in. And yeah, she'd been gone during the month of August, came home with a 4-foot cube box of yarn that she was unloading. So that was kind of fun. One of the other things that you can go to is the John Campbell Arts Center, and I know there must be more of these out. This is the only one I'm aware of.
Carol and I did that. And Carol's name is Carol Kuhn. And our instructor's name was Carol Kuhn. Carol's without the E. So I signed up, and they called me and said, "You can't share the room with a teacher." No, it's not your teacher. But we were doing, what was it called, Carol? It was like little tiny swatches. And so we had one girl, she was like a new knitter, and she had a nervous breakdown. Because we were doing like fingering on size 2 needles. So everybody else, we had a show and share at the end, and we had like maybe 6 swatches. People made Windsor chairs in the week. So they kind of come by ours and, oh, okay. But it was really fun, and the food there, you would think it would be bad, but it was very gourmet. They had trout one day. They had a vegetarian option that sold out, or ran out, because it was so good. And it's in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains, and the idea of the folk school is you can try and you can fail. And so, if we're going to do enameling, it would cost you $10,000 to start up your enameling. But you go there and you find out, well, geez, I don't like this. So you don't have that investment of money. But it's like being on a cruise because you see the same people all the time and make friends. It was a blast. We went 2 times, didn't we, Carol?
Yeah.
The first time she did dow making, I made soap. 25 pounds of soap. It was nice, wasn't it?
Long soap, it was really good.
It was really
Now,
nice.
you did stay there, correct?
Yes,
They
and it's
have
sort
houses.
of, they have like different options. They have different houses, and some are like a bunkhouse. And some, we had like, the one time we went with it, one other person, we had 3 beds in a room. It's not primitive, but it's not the Ritz. So,
I had a friend who went and they found out that Wi-Fi didn't work too well in that area.
we went before Wi-Fi was invented.
She went with her husband and he didn't want to stay there, so he picked her up at night and take her home. They had to stop and get a paper map because they got lost. So, be
But the
aware
Blue
of that.
Mountains are beautiful. I recommend it.
If you click on the thing, you can see on the left-hand side, those are all topics that they teach. One of the things my friend said was the pies were delicious that the cooking class made. They made so many, they shared them. And that was one thing she said she did miss, was getting together with people in the evening before breakfast. So that is something to consider too. Okay, let me go back. Do you have anything else on there?
So there's one that I noticed that wasn't, well, two of them that I noticed that weren't on your list. One of them, Rhinebeck. She wants to go to Rhinebeck.
Yes.
The other one is the Estes Park Wool Market, which a friend of mine who is a knitter, who lives in Nebraska, has been to several times, and she really enjoys it. It's Estes Park in Colorado, and it's in June. It's 2 days only, but they apparently have, sheep to shawl, and they have all this stuff with it there. She enjoyed going. She would stay, she's a member of the Y, so she would stay at the YMCA of the Rockies. We stayed there a couple of years ago. I highly recommend it. The cabins don't have TVs, you're not distracted. They have all kinds of stuff to do.
And June in Colorado is
It's
lovely.
really nice, yeah. So
The thing about Rhinebeck is it is part of the state fair. Everybody just thinks of it as being the Sheep and Wool Festival, but it is actually part of the New York State Fair system. So there's going to be all the animals. So I mean, you could have a full family, adventure that has nothing to do with knitting. And then, let the kids go that way and you go to the art.
A lot of the state festivals are that way.
Yeah.
Michigan Fiber Festival has judging for fiber of each animal. They have judging of the animals from rabbits to llamas,
sure.
everything. So, yeah, they include a lot of things. One of the other ones I was going to highlight too was the Schoolhouse Press Knit. That's in northern Wisconsin.
Oh, I wonder.
It's a pretty area, it's a very small town. Schoolhouse Press does not have a store you can go in, you only order online. But they had a sampling of what they had for us to choose from. I think there was probably 100 people in the group. We basically sat around in tables in a big conference room, and Amy Deachin and, I can't remember her name. Meg, Ms. Swanson, were leading us, and we had a book that they talked about all of the things in the book, and then we could go home and do something with them. They had a few patterns, they had ideas, they had samples of things. I think the funnest one for me was they had fashion shows, morning, afternoon, I think there were 4 of them. So you got to show up to 2 things at a time. Well, when it came my time, the person next to me got up and she says, well, I started these when I got confirmation I was going to come to the camp. She had 2 sweaters with color treatment. So she was literally finishing one of them the day before. Then I get up and I have a 6-foot by 3-foot shawl that I did in 6 weeks. So the 2 of us got the prize for fast knitters, I think. But it was fun to see all of the different things, and we got a chance to see sweaters and shawls and stuffed animals, all kinds of things. And it's in a small town, all in one hotel. The food was good. On the way home, I was going to stop at a couple of yarn shops where one of them wasn't open on the day we were leaving. So we went to Hirschner's. Anybody remember Hirschner's?
Oh, yeah.
Catalog? They have a store
Yeah, they do.
in Stevens Point. So we went in there. I was able to find an inexpensive yarn for a blanket I had to make for a wedding gift. And I found a blue heron puzzle that's shaped like a blue heron because my grandkids go to blue heron school in Maryland. So that was kind of fun. It was fun to look at all of the options that were there, all kinds of things. And it killed some time because we had taken one of the other attendees who needed a trip to the airport. So we had her and we couldn't drop her off too early, so we did that. And we did stop at another one that had a like a coffee shop in the yarn shop in an old house. And there were 5 different rooms of yarn to go through.
Oh, wow.
So that was fun, and that was in near Madison. So,
But don't forget to mention that Peg Swanson is Elizabeth Zimmerman's daughter.
yes.
For those that don't know.
And her son is being prepped to take over. He's Meg's, I think, close to 80. So somebody's taking over, and he's doing some designing. We got a copy of one of his patterns he just finished.
Yeah, I took a class from him in Chicago at Vogue, and he had Elizabeth Zimmerman's sweater. And he passed them around the room and let us all touch them and look at them. And she used to experiment with her decreases on the sweater, so there'd be like 4 different decreases around the neck of the sweater. And he, she would keep notes on which one she liked better. It was really fascinating.
I think we learned a lot. There wasn't a lot of hands-on learning, but there was the opportunity to gather a lot of information. The real cautious quote, Amy Deachin was in a little bit of a funk. She's a designer. She knits lots of sweaters. She collects yarn from all kinds of different companies. She had a modeling fixation.
Oh.
She lost every sweater she had on display in her house. She stopped counting at $13,000 worth of yarn, not product, just yarn. So she says, be careful, keep your doors closed, keep everything in plastic bags. So she learned the hard way.
She
And
came here too for a
Yeah.
workshop.
Mhm. So, that was the warning that we took away from Amy. And she is planning a trip to the Shetland Wool Week. So if you follow her, there's all kinds of them. Any designer that you really appreciate, look her up. See if she's got something going on. You have in-person, you have Zoom, and you have some that are videos that you basically pay to be able to use for a certain period of time, and question and answer availability along with them. Any other questions, any other events that you know of that you'd like to share?
I've got another one. In Harveyville, Kansas, which is right outside of Kansas City, is a little, a lady bought the high school and the elementary school, and she has turned it into what she calls yarn school. So she has twice a year. She has spinning classes, and that includes a dyeing class. They do the dyeing in the old science class, which is kind of cool. She turned the elementary into dorm rooms, and the gymnasium is where everybody gathers and sits around and spins. They have spinning classes. She has spinning wheels for you to try out. People bring stuff to trade. They have
What was the name of that town?
Harveyville, Kansas, and it's the Harveyville Experiment or the Harveyville School Experiment.
What time of year?
She has the spinning classes twice a year. She has mitten classes every other year. She has cheese making and dressmaking.
Is it southwest of Topeka?
Yes.
Okay.
Harveyville, Kansas. Well, you stay there and she feeds you really good. And then you have a trip to an alpaca farm and they feed you lunch. Of course, you shop at their lunch shop. So,
I'm looking it up on the map, and the only thing they're showing is one roadhouse, food, and a seed company.
Nothing near there. It does say rural Harveyville.
yes.
Garden School, Feld School, Mint School, Cheese School, Rigid Metal School, and Dress School.
The person that does the spinning is Adrian from Hello Yarns. And she is in Rhode Island. But she knows that.
There is a spring crank-in Jackson, Missouri, for people that have knitting machines, the sock knitting machines, the Earl Bossler Gerhard sock knitting machines made down there. And they have usually a weekend thing, and they do have other vendors there that bring yarn, and there was a guy making brooms. They were getting fancy, with their machines. My machine was 100 years old. It is 100 years old. Mine's an original Revere. And I've had it way longer than he was making machines. And he came straight for me. Pee Wee Erlbacher was still alive. And I said, well, I can't get the river to work. And he goes, well, that's because it wasn't made for this machine. They were all made by hand. There was no machining. Get me a Dremel. And the next thing I know, he's over in the corner with my river with a Dremel, and the sparks are flying. And then he sent somebody out to get sandpaper because it was sharp as a knife when he got through with it. By the time I left there, I was ripping socks on my machine. God love you. So it was a lot of fun.